What is going on, everyone? It's Brody back again to answer another tennis question, and today's tennis topic is going to be about grip size. Now, to help me illustrate this point, I have my handy dandy helper here, the Dunlop SX 300 Tour. This is the older version of it, but it is one that I still have in the plastic handles. I've had it around. I've used this racket before, but I haven't opened it because I have a few others. So this one's going to help me out. So the one thing you have to know about the grip size is that it's very specific and very tailored to you specifically. Every person's hand is different. What feels comfortable is going to be different. So what we do and what grip size that we use is going to really be different based off of your own specific needs. So one of the ways that you can really get into and understand grip size is based off of this number. This Dunlop one is nice enough to have it numbered right here. This number 3. So the number 3 means it's a 4 3/8 a 4 3/8 grip size. So 4 3/8 grip size is going to be probably the most common grip size for male players. That's just because our hands do tend to be a bit larger. So the 4 3/8 grip size just works for us a little bit better. Now, if you are a female player and you're looking for the average female grip size is about a 4 1/4. So instead of that little nice 3 right there, it's going to be a 2. So that's because each grip size goes up by 1/8 each time, usually starting at 0. A 0 is just solid 4, not 4 1/8, not 4 1/4, nothing. It's just 4. So then you have 0, you have 1, which is 4 1/8, 2, which is 4 2/8 or 4 1/4, 3, which is 4 3/8, 4 3/8. You have the 4, which is 4 1/2 or 4 4/8. And typically the biggest one you'll see after that is a 5, which is a 4 5/8. You usually don't see anything bigger or over that because most people's hands aren't that big, or at that point, you're just customizing the racket to fit you specifically. So if you have that size and big of a hand, I'm sorry, they usually don't make your racket in your size, but don't worry, you can always customize the racket, especially the handle, because it's really easy to do for the most part. But back to the grip size. So there's a few ways that you can tell what your grip size is. One way, and I've said this one in the description, it's a little bit more, I won't say complicated, it's a little bit different from the way I usually do it, but you can take a ruler, and if you look at my hand here, there's this crease right along here. So you want to take the end of the ruler and put that here on the crease and go all the way up to the top of your middle finger, because that should be your longest finger typically, and and whatever that measurement says, that's going to be around the grip size that you want to use for your tennis racket. Now, like I said, all grip sizes are different and you can customize that. So my personal way of doing it that I found works after working with a lot of people who have tried different grips and with fitting people for tennis grips is that if you take your racket, whatever it may be, this one's just going to be mine for the example. If you take it, you go into your forehand. I am right-handed. It may look a little different, but I am right-handed. So you take your forehand, you swing, and you take a look at your hand before you would follow through on the ball. So now, this is how my hand was. Do you see that there's not that much space right there? I cannot fit my pointer finger on this hand into this space without having to adjust my hand to do it. That means the grip's too small for me. Now, if the grip was like this, say I have a smaller grip size, my hand's like that, that's a lot of space, but it's not very tight in there. So the grip would be too small. If you want to do it just right, do your forehand, and then you want to be able to fit your finger in there perfectly on the first try without having to adjust your hand. So with that being said, for me, a 4 3/8 is a little bit too small. I've measured myself. I typically am at least a 4 1/2, sometimes bigger, depending on the shape of the grip. However, I do use a 4 3/8 with an overgrip on it because an overgrip will help to add thickness to the handle. It makes it a little bit more comfortable, as well as changes the way that the grip, as well as changes the way that the grip is designed to play, because some of the overgrips are tackier, some of the overgrips are better at absorbing sweat, and so on and so forth. So that's where customization can really come in to make sure that you are getting the best racket and the best grip size for you specifically. Now, all of this is just based off the general metrics. You do want to make sure that you go and actually hold the racket in your hand as well if possible, because a lot of the times with tennis manufacturing companies, whether it be the one that I have in my hand or any other ones, you're usually going to find a little bit of discrepancies between rackets. Sometimes the handle feels a little bit bigger, sometimes the handle feels a little bit smaller, and that's where you really want to see and hold the racket so that you make sure that you get the racket and grip size that fits your hand specifically. You can adjust it, but it's a lot harder to do if you don't know what you're actually looking for and you don't know where the problem is. Now, one more thing I will say about grip size is the fact that you can make grip sizes bigger, but you cannot really ever make them smaller. There's one base grip that I know of, it's from Turna, but the base grip itself, it's very thin, so it does help to kind of reduce the thickness of the grip itself, so it's not as thick for you. However, if you do that, your hand is not as cushioned, and so if you're really needing a smaller grip size, it may just be better to look for the smaller racket in that smaller grip rather than trying the different base grip, because then you're just essentially wasting your time, because if you buy that, you have to put on the new base grip. If you don't like it still, then you just wasted the money on the base grip. You at least tried it, so you know that it's definitely that you need the next size down. But all in all, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you here that you have to do this or you have to do that, because it's tennis. You get to choose, and that's one of the great things about the sport. So with grip size, those are really the main key points. I will say knowing your grip size does help, because if you get a grip that is too small, like this, you're just death gripping it the entire time, you can barely move it, then you can start to eventually hurt your hand and your wrist because you're over tightening on the racket. That's never good, because it can lead to problems. As well as if you have a racket that you can't hold on to, and say you're going through with your swing and the racket keeps spinning around because you don't have a solid grip on it, then not only are your shots going to miss because you don't have the control that you want, you're also going to take the racket and eventually have a little bit more of that vibration and just shock coming back to you, because the racket wasn't stable enough when it hit the ball and made contact to absorb a lot of that shock that is coming back to your arm. So with that being said, if you like the video, leave a like on it, comment down below any more questions that you may have, as well as subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of misinformation out in the tennis community, and I took it upon myself to make this channel so that we can get rid of that and get the information from the people who have it to the people who need it. So with that being said, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel so we can grow this channel and spread the news, as well as share this video with a friend if they have no idea what's going on with their grip size and they just really need some help. So, as always, take care.